Hi, I'm Spencer from xPat Jack, and today I'm with Cate Brown, a real-life surf photographer. She's living the adventure, and today so are we as she takes us through it. Stay tuned. Need some strong coffee this morning. Let's see. There we go. Soon. Too early. Oh, hey, bud. When most people think of a surf photographer, I think their mind automatically goes to warm beaches, somewhere tropical, probably Hawaii, maybe Costa Rica, Indonesia. They probably don't think Rhode Island in the winter and 38 degrees. Maybe that's just me thinking about those warm places and wishing that's where I was filming this. But here we are. Necessary evils of surfing when it's freezing out, changing into wetsuit in cold weather. Go. Just like walk backwards out. The things you don't know until you try. This is so weird. Just got done with the first photography session in the lineup with Cate, and man, it's cold. It's getting warmer outside, which is nice, but the water is freezing cold. My fingers are warming up. Yeah, hopefully this fog burns off. It's still pretty foggy out there. Hopefully the light will get a little bit better. Made for some interesting shots, it looks like, this morning. It looks like it's gonna burn off. Hopefully we'll have a blue sky afternoon, and as this swells incoming, the tide will also be incoming too. It's about an hour and a half from low tide right now, so we'll see what happens. I never imagined sitting in the water, you know, taking pictures of surfers instead of actually surfing could be so much fun, but it's almost on par with actually surfing, so one more addiction to add to the list. Well, you give it a few hours, the sun comes out and it's gorgeous. It's hard to believe that it's early spring, late winter, because it's almost 60 degrees out and it's fantastic. Good set still coming in. So Cate went to go get some breakfast and some coffee, and I'm walking out on this rock reef, which was submerged only an hour or two ago. Get a little bit closer to these guys here, take some decent photographs, hopefully. I don't have a surf housing for my camera, so I gotta kind of stay dry. But that doesn't mean I can't walk out here and get a little closer. Well, got some shots that I think I'm happy with. It's kind of hard to tell though, because this has such a small screen, so we'll just have to wait and see when I get it back onto the computer. But hopefully they came out.
You might need to prompt me. Just don't know where to start.
Well, all right. Well, how about this? Since I didn't actually introduce you yet, you are Cate Brown.
Yes, I am Cate Brown. Cate Brown photo.
Surf photographer extraordinaire.
Yes. Surf, ocean, sail, swim, yacht.
Awesome.
Lots of time in the water.
Yeah. Some this morning.
Yes. 2 hours this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, take me through your basic setup for being in the water capturing surf photography.
Sure. So I've got it all set up because of this morning.
Right.
This is my water housing with my DSLR.
Liquid eye.
My liquid eye. I shoot with my D750 in the water. Okay. It's a full frame, 12 megapixel. And then I love shooting prime, so I'm often rocking my 85 millimeter. Sometimes I'll go 50. So the flat port for those. I have the dome ports and the other setups for my telephoto lens, for my wide lens, but it's just.
And so the other ports allow you to zoom, right? Zoom in and out while you're in there. How does that work? Like, does it work okay, or is it kind of hard to tell?
It takes longer to set up. You have to put a mechanism on the lens and then put it in the housing so that, like, so this is the gear. That's what you would zoom with.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It takes longer to set up. It takes a little bit more finagling. The zoom is not as quick as if you're shooting
right, for sure,
without a housing.
Yeah.
And it's just not my preferred aesthetic anyway. So like for this, the prime lens is lighter, quicker to set up. You know, just roll with it. I love the look of it. So that's just what I prefer. But there are plenty of people who prefer the wide angle.
Gotcha.
That's totally fine.
Well, I mean, the other thing too, if you're not out there with a zoom lens, and it's one less thing to worry about, right?
Yeah.
You can literally just focus on what you're trying to capture and pressing the button at the right time.
Exactly. And just kind of like waiting for them to come to you. I mean, if you're shooting curl shots more often, I think you could get more of that wide angle stuff, and the zoom for the surfers.
Now, what type of modes do you capture while you're? I mean, are you in like full manual mode, or are you? Nope.
So I shoot an aperture priority. I set my aperture the way that I like it. I set my ISO based on the lighting conditions. I do have control over my ISO once I'm in the water, but I try to, generally like, okay, today is going to be ISO 200 day, or today's going to be a little cloudier, it's going to be 400. And then that'll keep the shutter speed nice and fast. And if it gets dusky, like low light, like I don't mind a little bit of motion blur too.
Makes for a neat aesthetic.
Exactly. I really need to do more of it. I get so distracted by the action. I'm just always capturing the high-speed action. But so yeah, I mean,
it's amazing how addicting it is being in the water, just watching surfers coming straight at you and trying not to get hit. And then, oh yeah, I want to take a picture too.
Yes, exactly.
Now, say for somebody who's like a hobbyist and brand new, like me, and you know, like I don't do a whole lot of full manual control, like, but someone who knows even less than I do, would they be able to, if they had a DSLR or something like that, put a camera in a housing and put it on just like regular auto mode and get decent pictures?
Absolutely. If it's a bright enough day,
right,
for sure. The biggest barrier for entry for a lot of people is just the price of the housing itself is like a solid,
it's more than the camera body.
Exactly. Yeah. So like that DSLR body, when I first got it, which was several years ago now, that was like $1,200. The lens is more like $500, which is also a nice thing about primes. You can get beautiful looking primes a lot less cost than a zoom because there's less components.
Right. That makes sense.
And then the housing itself is like $1,000. The pistol grip is another $200. The leash is another $50. So
yeah, it's like all the accessories that add up to it.
Exactly. And you can get different levels of controls for the backs, like some with fewer buttons versus this one has pretty much all buttons almost. So it adds up. Like this whole rig costs like what, $5,000? Like,
oh wow. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Depending
No kidding.
on the lens, depending on the port, the dome ports cost more than the flat ports.
Now, that for that person looking to get into it, would you recommend they maybe get some of the extra features just so that way they have the ability to upgrade as they learn more, so they don't have to like purchase the same thing again, just a better version?
I would say it depends on your goals.
Okay.
Because if you're doing it for a hobby, you probably don't really need all the controls in the first place. If you're just printing photos for yourself, you're not necessarily looking to sell them.
Right.
Then you probably can get away with a more consumer level.
Okay.
But like GoPros are a great way to just get starting to swim.
Right, for sure. Well, you were telling me out in the water that you just started out with your iPhone.
Yes, I had
an iPhone
with a life-proof housing. It was my, what was it, iPhone 5? I don't even remember.
That's amazing.
Just to be in the water with something. And, you know, you have to learn to pay attention to the camera as well as peripherally what's going on around you.
Of course.
So, I mean, just that took some getting used to. And even just being in swell with moving water, like it's one thing to look at it and see where it's moving. It's another thing to be in it and having to be aware of where it's moving.
Right.
Downside with the iPhone, I didn't have a leash. So, like, it was
if you lose it, it's gone.
Exactly. Life-proof really didn't hold up after a year. So,
right.
You know.
And if you're out in the water, like, for me, I grew up surfing. There's particular etiquette. You got to be aware of the tides, the currents, and all that stuff. That's something you kind of just learned, right? Because you weren't already a surfer.
Exactly. So I knew enough about tides and wind to be comfortable enough to be in the water. But then when it came to being in the lineup, I had to kind of watch and learn, you know, when people are going to be taking off, where they're going to be taking off from, where I can be safely, who I can get closer to safely, because not everyone is the same skill level.
Right.
But yeah, no, there's a bit of a learning curve, but everyone around here has been so welcoming, so
that's good.
It was not too bad to.
Well, everybody's happy to have cool photos of them surfing, so.
Yes, yes, I could say so.
If you stab the photographer with your surfboard, there's no more surf photos.
No more photos for you. I will deliberately not take your photo if you run into me.
With good reason, yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, again, it comes back to, like, everything I'm about is, you know, if you're interested in it, you can do it. Especially with YouTube. YouTube's the greatest instructor nowadays. You can learn about all these things, and you can get out there and get after it. And how long has it been that you've been doing this?
What year is it now?
0 to hero. How long has it been?
I have been swimming since definitely since 2018. So it's about 3 years now.
Well, you've been swimming longer than that. You mean swimming with a camera?
With a camera,
okay.
Yeah. Swimming with a camera.
It's like, dang, she just learned to swim too.
No, I've been swimming with a camera in surf for 3 years. I had the housing for close to 5.
Wow.
But I was just too nervous to get into any kind of swell. So I was like taking it with my paddleboard. I was taking it like on my parents' mooring, just like swimming in the harbor.
Right.
And then like I got up the courage, not knowing anyone either, to just get in the lineup. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been fun.
So it can be done.
It can be done. And I mean, mirrorless housings, a mirrorless camera is going to be smaller. So the housing is going to be smaller. So that's another thing too. A lot of people are going mirrorless. It's a smaller kit.
Right, and I've looked at all that. I mean, I started out, I have a Canon Rebel, But I started out with a 35mm Canon Rebel like a long time ago, and I already had a bunch of lenses. And lenses are like one of the most. I mean, you can get a good body, but you know, if you have a good lens, like which would you rather have? And I know the answer to this. Would you rather have an amazing lens and a mediocre camera body, or an amazing camera body and a mediocre lens?
Probably a great lens and a mediocre body, because it just makes things
such a big difference.
I mean, now that I got my D850, it's hard to say that, because my D850, the body and the sensor is amazing, but no, definitely a good lens is going to be worth the investment. Right.
Well, that's half the fun of gear too, especially if you make it a side business or something like that. Every bit of gear you buy is a tax write-off.
Yes, if you're doing it for business.
If you're doing it for business, right, exactly. One of the downsides you're talking about with mirrorless when we were out there before, I know with my GoPro here, like these things, you get in the cold water, that water's low 40s, and my GoPro lasted an hour on a battery, and that's a brand new, like just purchased last week. You're saying that the mirrorless are the same, right?
Yeah, so I mean, mirrorless, DSLR works by using a prism system. So when you look through the eyepiece, there's a mirror in a prism that lets you look out exactly where the lens is looking out. With a mirrorless setup, there's no mirror or prism system. So that's how they manage to make more compact bodies. There's less stuff in them. Right. But in order for you as the photographer to see what the camera is seeing and actually shoot, it's an electronic viewfinder that's creating an electronic representation of what the lens is seeing. So the battery is constantly working that much harder. And then cold weather zaps batteries in general. Combine that with a mirrorless camera, like you're just gonna burn through a battery really fast.
Right.
And especially if it's a good day and you're shooting a lot, like if you're doing video, that compounds it too. So yeah, doing the cold water stuff, that's why I also prefer the DSLR. I've got my fins and stuff too.
Oh yeah, talk about that stuff. Like, so what else do you use when you're? What else?
I have, for the winter time, even today in the 42-degree water, I was in my 6.5 wetsuit, chest zip.
So 6mm, 5mm.
5mm. Yeah. Pretty much the warmest kind you can get for a surf suit. They make warmer scuba suits, but they're not as flexible.
They're not mobile, not good for swimming.
They're not good for moving. I don't have to move quite as much as the surfers, but still.
Yeah.
And then, gosh, this is like, I found these, this is a scuba brand, so these are 7mm lobster claws, so I can still have dexterity for shooting.
Right, that makes sense.
They're awful to get on because they're like extra long and they got Velcro, but they're so much warmer. It was worth it. And they're only like $50 on Amazon. I couldn't.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And then these are just a 1mm neoprene liner that I've been using in the winter time.
Yeah, I have some of those on right now still.
The wet socks.
Yeah, the wet socks.
They have a new 1.5 mil.
Really? Oh, that's nice.
And they also make split toe round toe.
I mean, the ones I have are from Scuba. You know,
they're so hard to find right now. I tried to get the split toe 1.5s and goodness.
Oh yeah, because you have a split toe boot,
exactly,
so that makes
sense.
Exactly,
because I got a split toe boot. So these are Patagonia's hybrid booty R4, so it's their warmest.
Yeah.
You'll notice these are larges. The size chart was off.
A little bit.
To say the least. I love these because when I'm putting them in my fins, so these are like the same kind of fins a bodyboarder or lifeguards wear.
Sponger. Sponger fins.
Exactly. But when I put them over boots, anything with a gum sole cuts off circulation super fast.
Right. There's no pliability to it, especially when it's cold. I need to talk to these manufacturers. There's got to be a better way. And we were talking earlier, there's no place that has quite as big a temperature range as here. And what was the other place?
I think Southern Japan was the other one that I found. Yeah. There could be others, but some quick research, that's what it looked like.
Well, what is it? It's like 38 degrees the water gets down to, 37, 38 in the midwinter?
Yep.
And then how warm in the summer?
Low 70s.
Low 70s.
Yeah, but if you're in the shallow water up the bay, it could be even higher, mid 70s.
That's quite a spread.
A lot of different types of neoprene.
The North Atlantic current.
A lot of neoprene.
We all do. Yeah. We all have like 5 different wetsuits.
So yeah.
Now, what else do you use if you're not doing in the water photography? You're doing other stuff on the land. Yeah, you got a kit here.
I'll be on land. I've got my other body here, so I don't have to take the time. I mean, being a professional, I've got 2 bodies. Not everybody has 2. But this way it's just quicker than having to load it in and out of the housing constantly, so I can get some
so in order to get this thing out, you'd have to like Allen keys. Allen key. Yeah, that'd be a pain in the butt.
So I've got my 24 to 70 on here because it's just a quick and easy go-to for different types of shots. I've got my 550 prime.
Nice.
Which I kind of wish I swam with at points this morning.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
The sun, you know how we had the fog this morning?
Yeah.
And then we couldn't quite see the sun through the fog until it was a little higher. And then
Right.
I kind of wanted it in frame, but I was shooting 85.
So
which is,
you're a
like,
little
later.
closer. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I was hoping for sunrise, is that we would have that same visual, but at sunrise when it was closer to the horizon. And it would
Right.
work
That
out.
makes sense.
That's really the only reason. And then, yeah, so when I'm shooting from land, I've got my long lenses. This is a 70 to 200.
Okay.
Wonderful workhorse, 2.8. And then this is my newbie.
Oh, that's
200 to 500.
2 to 5. Wow.
This has been terrific. I got it for sailing too.
Yeah.
Because for sailing, you aren't that close.
Right.
So
Unless you have a
looking forward to
crazy,
regatta season.
crazy motorboat driver that wants to
Oh,
get you
yeah.
right in the action.
Oh yeah.
We have some of those.
So that's
Now those lenses are mounted on the tripod, the lens itself, because that
right.
puts the
This
center
is
of
so
balance,
heavy.
right?
So yeah, you mount that on the tripod.
Now when
take
you're filming, well, so you're not doing video, you're mostly still photos, right?
Right. I've been trying to remember to do video more often. People keep asking me, and I
Right.
honestly just forget because
Yeah.
my eye goes to stills.
Stills, right?
But I can shoot video, and I've been doing more and more of it just to build some of that clip reel. I did it back in high school and college. I was doing photo and video. And
Okay.
then I dropped it to focus just on photo. And then
Right.
after I graduated, the industry's like, oh, you have to do both now. And I'm like, oh, God.
Really?
So now it's like a decade later, and I have to
Right.
relearn, like, what's the new tech, what's the, you know,
Right.
and I'm a little behind.
Yeah, I was doing some research into video because I like using my DSLR for video also. But it's like, if you want to get close and you're far away and you have one of those really nice big lenses, it's like you got to get one of those tripods that's super smooth and like $1,000 that you
Yeah.
can like traverse left to right seamlessly without any bumping
I
and
have,
jittering and
my photo tripod can isolate that horizontal panning movement, but it's still not as smooth.
really.
It's like it's noticeable on the 200 to 500.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, you're zoomed in so close that
exactly.
I imagine.
And everything's just It's like looking through binoculars. Everything is
Right.
extra magnified on the other end, the more zoomed in you are.
Right.
But no, it's been a lot of fun getting back into it. And like DSLR for video, for quality video, was not a thing when
Right.
I was in video.
Yeah.
So it was like just coming out as I was graduating college. So now the fact that they shoot scenes for some major motion pictures on DSLR,
The DSLR is
blows my
crazy.
mind.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see the quality of clips coming off of my D850 in particular. With video.
I believe it. Yeah.
It's really cool. So this is my Mavic Pro. I got the Polar Pro
yeah.
case. This case, the Polar Pro case, is much more
Way
spacious
better.
than the other one. The one it came with, I could barely even get it in and out.
Oh, that thing's awesome.
So it's foldable.
Oh, is that aftermarket, the little bubble?
Nope,
for it?
that comes with
That comes
it.
with
It's a
it,
little
really?
protective.
Okay.
It's to help isolate the gimbal
Okay.
when it's in storage. And you can see it's got sensors. So the first drone I ever had didn't have any of these sensors. It barely had the GPS technology. So
Yeah, you can go ahead, sir. You can be in our video, it's cool.
Huh?
You can be in our video, it's cool.
Yeah, I'll be out of your way. You don't want to see this.
Have fun though.
I'm going over
I
to
love
the
this
senior
place.
Center, aka the flagpole.
The flagpole, yeah.
Flagpole was looking good earlier.
Yeah, well, it's looking good now. Actually, over
Oh,
there,
look at that.
it looks really good.
They're impressive. But yeah, when I first started flying, like the GPS technology was not up to snuff. So it was mostly manual flying. And then now it's got like 11 sensors on it. Like there's sensors everywhere to give you warnings when you're close
So you don't
to
hit stuff,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, and you can set the sensitivity too. Like I was just shooting real estate the other day with it, and I had
cool.
to fly like near another house in order to get the house. It was just a tight neighborhood.
Right.
But like it was telling me, all right, you're 13 feet away from it behind you. You're like 16 feet away from it on your
Oh,
left.
man.
So it was really helpful just to have those visuals.
Now
And it would
does
start beeping.
the controller that hook up to your phone?
Yes.
Is that how
so
it works?
they
Because I know
have-
you can buy like a super ridiculous expensive one, and they have like the VR crazy pro drone
Well,
racer
not even
things.
that.
And,
So this is the first model where you hook up your phone, you use an app.
okay, yeah.
They do have a new one that's like $500 where it's a built-in screen.
Okay.
It would be a little bit bigger than this phone. This is the 10R.
Right,
So it would be a little bit bigger than that, and it's just built in.
right.
Which I kind of wish I had, because if I get a text message while I'm flying, it's like,
Then it
oh
messes up
God.
your stuff.
It's just hard to see. like,
Right.
all my
Oh, that makes
stats
sense.
And,
Yeah.
So yeah, you fly with this. And you also, if for some reason your screen went down, you still have a lot of your critical information on here.
Oh, cool.
So you can and you have a return home button here. So if the screen
Nice.
went down, I can still see how high I am, like how
awesome.
far away generally I am. I wouldn't necessarily have a map. So yeah, and then
That'll be a fun investment someday
picture, take
to play
video.
with.
Oh, pictures and video too.
Yep,
Cool.
yep.
Now, can you do a still picture while you're shooting video?
No.
Not really, so
I
you got to
don't-
do one or the other.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's
Okay.
really one or the other, but it's a decent. So this is a 1-inch sensor, which is
Yeah.
pretty big.
That's
for
pretty
a drone.
amazing.
Most phones
Yeah.
have a 2/3 sensor.
Right.
So
And the quality on
Phones now is like insane.
exactly. So the quality is only getting better and better.
That's
so
amazing.
Still grabs off of video for this are actually halfway decent.
right.
Obviously, still photos, if that's what you wanted to get, it's optimal to shoot stills first.
Right.
How much of a pain in the ass is it to get the FAA like registration and doing all that stuff?
So if you're a hobbyist,
Unless you're a hobby pirate drone flyer.
if you're a hobbyist, you have to register the device still.
Right.
But it's, and this is something I don't think the FAA quite understands. You could fly as a hobby, right? And then after the fact, someone could be like, I would love a print of that.
Right.
Be like, all right, I'm selling you a print. Even though you flew as a hobbyist, technically now you are a commercial pilot because you're making a penny off of a print from that flight. So technically you need a commercial license.
See,
So-
that's messed up because the intent was never to make any money off it. The intent was just altruistic. I just want to fly around and take some cool video.
Right. So I don't think anyone's been caught on that technicality, but that's kind of
Yeah.
where it's like you really should think ahead of what am I trying to do with this. The knowledge test, it wasn't too bad for me. There's stuff on the initial knowledge test that's not on the recurrent. And every 2 years you have to re-up.
Okay.
And it's like 80%, 70 to 80% of the initial test is on the recurrent. I just re-upped last year, actually.
Oh, nice.
And it wasn't too bad. You have to understand, like, they test you on weather, the first test on loading, which you never use, reading airport charts and stuff. Like, I could read nautical charts, so I could kind of learn that. But, like, again, it's something you never use in this. Like, we were not going out with...
You guys aren't even going above
400 feet anyway.
Exactly. Our
so-
ceiling is legally 400 feet.
Yeah,
So
can't fly within 5 nautical miles of an airport.
Exactly, unless you get permission.
Unless you get
They're
permission,
making
that's
it
true.
easier to
Oh,
do
that's
it
good.
in-app permission. I did it just yesterday.
Oh, that's great. That's really good.
Which is good for real estate when I'm at the tree line. Like, I don't have to go that high, but you're
Right.
within 5 miles.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's common sense stuff. Don't fly inebriated. Don't fly at night. Don't fly over things you don't need to fly over. Don't harass the wildlife. Like,
Yeah,
it's pretty common sense stuff.
that's good. Okay.
It's just annoying that it's every 2 years. Like, I got my
Yeah.
boater's license in 2005, and I haven't had to re-up that, so...
Yeah,
I think mine has like 2002 on it and a jet ski endorsement.
Yes, exactly.
And every time I've rented a boat, no one's ever asked to see it.
Right. No, exactly. So I would be way more nervous about most boaters.
yeah, right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great tool. Like, because it's a business, I could write it off, and it's just I use it mostly for fine art to
Yeah.
get different perspectives.
So you don't do a whole lot of surf footage or anything like this
I just
sometimes?
I don't want to ruin anyone's session. It sounds like a weed whacker. So,
Yeah.
and again, you're not really supposed to fly over anybody that's not part of the shoot. So I don't want to go in a crowded lineup.
Yeah.
And like, because especially early on, this technology was prone to sudden power losses.
Right.
Oh, I've seen the YouTube videos of people diving like off bridges into waters after their drone.
Power losses, like GPS loss, it would just keep going. Like, now they have all sorts of built-in mechanisms. If it loses its signal, it'll return to home.
Oh, that's great.
But especially like a decade, 15 years ago, like, it was gnarly. So if this thing fell out of the sky when it has a battery in it, that's like a solid like 4 pounds.
Yeah, it's
So-
sinking. All right, well,
You're gonna go dry your stuff out.
I'm gonna go dry my stuff out, download the 2,000 photos I took in that light this morning.
so, well, that brings up a really good question then.
We're talking about ease of having a second camera body, so you don't have to undo all this stuff.
So do you have to undo all this stuff to get the card out?
Yeah, here, I'll
So
do it.
you got to undo it anyways then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I guess still kind of a pain in the ass. One way or another.
I try not to do this while it's still wet so that I keep the
all
chance
your,
of water
yeah, you don't
getting
want
in pretty
water
minimal.
in there.
but I don't like to store the, you can hear the air coming out because it's in the sun. I don't like to store the O-ring compressed because it warps it over time.
Do you get a lot of issues with fogging on the inside if there's a change in, or it's pretty airtight so it doesn't really matter?
It's pretty good, and when I'm swimming it's submerged pretty well, so it's fine. Mirrorless cameras, again, they tend to fog because the battery's working harder, it's generating more heat.
Okay, that makes sense.
My biggest concern is in the summertime, if it's a ton of sunlight but the water's still cold.
Okay.
That's when I'll put like the same defogger that scuba will use on their masks and stuff on the inside.
Okay, awesome.
And that's where, and sometimes a silica packet or two even helps.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
So yeah, there are other models too, like the Aquatech housing has clips.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know, like, I like the idea of
being super secure.
Like super making sure that no water is going to get into my super expensive camera at all.
I'm the same.
Like, yeah, I'll take the extra it's been 2.5 minutes that it took to take that off, so.
And the SPLs, the old SPLs had hex bolts, not hex bolts, wing nuts.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you were going to stab yourself in the eye.
Oh, geez.
They changed it. That was years ago.
Yeah.
But so then I take this out, and I've got my cable here for my pistol grip.
Okay, so that's for the controls.
And then I take my...
And it just has a basic slide-in base thing on the bottom there, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
This screws on.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this helps stabilize. This is newer.
Really
a few
neat.
years ago, this was kind of novel. They would just kind of shift in the housing a little bit before.
Okay, that's great.
So, and the great thing I love about my liquid eye is if I have a flood, which I have had,
okay.
these electronic components are entirely replaceable. So,
oh, sweet. Okay.
So like the pistol grip,
just like pull out.
if I take the pistol grip off, it's just totally flat epoxy. There's no actual hole through there.
Okay.
So it's a magnetic release
Oh,
on the
neat.
switch.
Okay,
So
that's awesome.
the magnet in here is helping to trigger the switch.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic.
I can just replace the bottom half. I can just replace the top half.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then, like, so when I flooded, I just replaced the cables and let it dry out, and it was good to go. A couple of the other ones, like the Aquatech, has some more of those electronics exposed.
Okay. Well, that looks awesome.
Which is great for this model.
Yeah, and then this is an absolute must.
Oh, this is a new design the last couple of years.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no way I would get one of these things, even if it floats, without a leash to keep it attached to my body.
So much more comfortable than the one I had before. They took the design from the bodyboarders.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it can move. And
I had a friend who was using his actual bodyboarding, like coiled one before.
Right.
This is the perfect length. This is a great design.
That's great.
I need new back plate. See, I like super glued, gorilla glued.
Right. Yeah.
That on. Oh, it's coming out
Oh
again.
yeah.
And it's just really beat up and scratched. I need a new one. Gets a lot of use.
Yeah, that's good though. It means you're working.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Well, that's a gear.
Is there what's your favorite thing you have of all your gear?
My 85.
Your 85?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love my 85.
Yeah.
For sure.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and my 850 body, I mean, it's really good, but my 85.
But
I was surprised I got almost 2 hours out of it today. So
Yeah.
that 5 degrees of water temperature difference
makes a big
nice.
difference. Yeah, especially when it's warming up and
The air temperature.
It's getting nice all day, so yeah. All right, well, break. So since Kate went to go download her photos, try out her wetsuit, things like that, I'm here. The waves are still great. I'm gonna surf. baking. I can feel my cheeks getting warm. The water's still freezing, but because the sun's out and it's 60 degrees, it feels amazing. I'm glad I took that surf.
Hey Kate, what are you doing now?
I am waiting to film. I'm waiting for someone to take off and then film them.
Okay, fair enough. All part of the job, right?
All part of the job. Lots of waiting.
Lots of waiting.
Lots
Your
of waiting.
Super huge telephoto.
Yeah, this is my
lens.
2 to 500.
God, that thing is intimidating looking.
It's heavy.
huge.
But especially breaks like this that are, you know, goes and
Yeah, 100 yards or so out there. Anyway,
It helps a lot.
well, cool.
Just like sit here for hours.
It's all about that comfortable position, right?
Oh yeah, I
This
should
nice
my
piece
camp
of
chair.
driftwood.
Shifted too.
Yeah, I know. It used to be a little different.
So you got to go like cross spectrum social media at the same time of doing real life.
No, I'm texting my boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't actually for posting. No, if I'm taking shots of the swell for social like that on my phone, I don't actually post the same day. Or if
Okay.
I do, it's not until it's too late. If you're
Yeah,
seeing
you
this
wait
now,
till there's a
you
down
missed
day
it.
and there's nothing.
Next morning, confuse everybody. I thought
Yeah.
it was raining today.
That makes sense.
Or post it like at night.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Right now.
I mean, that's a huge part of it though, advertising, right?
Right. Gotta,
Do you hire anybody to do that or do you do it all yourself?
No, I do all my marketing myself right now.
That's good.
Well, maybe someday. Well, right now it's just all me.
Yeah. Is that a part you enjoy about it or is it kind of like meh?
A little bit. It's not the worst thing. But it's definitely not my
That was very
favorite thing.
diplomatic.
It's not my favorite thing. I'd rather be out shooting.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's a necessary evil. if you
Yeah.
will.
That makes sense.
I don't know, I'll be real good about having a schedule and sticking to it for like a certain amount of time and then fall off.
Do you post every day or just a couple times a
I
week?
used to,
Yeah.
but it just got to be a hassle and I didn't necessarily see any better returns. So I post every few days when I feel like I have something worthwhile.
Now, as far as like self-promotion and networking goes, if you run that all on your own, like, do you find that more organic relationships you develop out here and on your jobs tend to do better for networking and getting your work spread, or than
yeah,
just?
it's interesting just being out in the lineup, the number of people who are just surf enthusiasts and go for
Right.
their own hobby, find out I shoot, they're like, oh, I also have a business that needs photos for that.
Ah, yeah.
So I have had a lot of organic relationships that way.
That's great. That's awesome.
I know, I'm like, could you get another?
No more good waves. Sunset. Great day.
That's Penny.
Kate showing us all the awesome stuff. And yeah, take us through your social media.
Yeah, pretty much everything is at Cate Brown Photo, C-A-T-E, Brown Photo. Lots on Instagram, lots online, portfolio, prints for sale, and yeah, just had that Rhode Island monthly feature come out for an interview, and I think there was another one recently, I can't even remember. Yeah.
I saw it on Facebook. It's great. It really is. So yeah, I'm being taught by a celebrity.
Oh gosh. Oh, there's Miles.
Oh.
That was close.
We can't see that with this, so we're excited. What happened?
Oh, Miles is trying to prove to Abby you can nose ride her board.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
it's not even sized for him, but he got damn close.
Yeah, it looked good. All right, I'm gonna call it. See you next time.
Yes.
All right.
Next time.
Thanks, Kate. See ya. See you guys. Nice meeting you. Thanks for sticking around for this episode of Living the Adventure. If you enjoyed it or learned something, please hit the like button. And the easiest way to be notified of upcoming episodes is to hit the subscribe button. There's more information in the video description below. And if you have information on topics covered in this episode, or you're currently living the same adventure, I challenge you to leave a comment so those just getting started have the ability to ask questions and get a different perspective. You can always reach me at xpatjack.com. Just go over to the contact page, drop me a line, and I'll get back to you. Till then, I'll see you on the next adventure. Stay tuned.